All right, today we're looking at another Reddit question, this time about using split doubles to get higher mileage. So even doubles to handle more mileage with lower injury risk. Just wondering if anyone has had any success with this type of strategy. Example, splitting a 12-mile easy day to 6 and 6 rather than the more common 8 and 4 or 9 and 3. I've been wanting to train at a high mileage, more than 75, for a while in order to excel in cross country in the 10K, but I've been stuck in the 55 to 65 range for a while now due to my injury history. I tried hitting 80 plus mile weeks in the fall with a lot of longer singles, 8 and 4 doubles, 12 plus medium long runs, 12 to 14 mile workout days, 14 and a half to 16 mile long runs, but pretty quickly got taken out with a bad Achilles injury, which took me out for cross country and part of indoor. The desire to improve is still drawing me towards higher mileage, however, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do it safely. Would this be the best method, and are there any other considerations I should make when trying to run high mileage this summer and fall? I'm planning on implementing a more robust strength training routine as well for injury prevention and take one day off per week in addition. So there is some more information that I would like to have, and thankfully he did post some more in the comments. So someone asked what his transition from 55 to 65 miles looked like, how quickly he ramped up. He said, after building a peak in the mid 60s last spring, I gradually built up to around 85 from June to September. The build was slightly rushed because I had a nagging patella issue from track season, but my mileage week to week went something like this: 13, 30, 37, 49, 64, 57, 64, 68, 72, 75, 79, 76, 86, 87, and then injury. Early weeks were supplemented with ellipticals. I transitioned back to running. I probably also didn't do enough strength training through the summer. Nothing heavy, just core and hip work, plus occasional body weight and lower body stuff. So based off the comment that he made, I think the first thing that needs to be addressed is the fact that this buildup was probably too aggressive. He said he'd been in the 55 to 65 mile range for a while, but hadn't really gone up to 80 before. And then over the course of the last summer and fall, from his first 60 plus mile week to his first 80 plus mile week, which was 86 miles, was only 9 weeks long. And during those 9 weeks, there was really only two kind of deload weeks. There was a 57 after a 64, which kind of makes sense, I guess. But then the next cutback is only 79 to 76, which is not really that significant. It's 3 miles cut down from a week that's almost already 80 miles. And he said it himself, this build was slightly rushed already because of an existing issue. And then you're ramping up like 20 miles plus on top of what you've done before in like 2 months. I think regardless of injury history and regardless of like whether you were doing split doubles or not, this kind of a buildup from a mileage that you've been at before to a new mileage that you haven't hit yet, especially as big of a jump from like 65 to 85, moving up that quick with the amount of volume you're doing with as little like deloading as he did is kind of a recipe for disaster. Like doubles or singles or not, that buildup is just too aggressive. But specifically on the question of even doubles, I do think they have a utility and they can be used pretty successfully. I think in this process of building, you want to look for ways to just add little bits here and there. I think for someone who's running cross country and 10K, like honestly, you could probably push the long run up to like 18 if you really wanted to. That's kind of the high end. And along with that, like a medium long run of like 14 miles. It's like that's a little bit of volume there, and that is like not the easiest way to do it, but I do think you'll get some bang for your buck doing it that way. get more out of those like longer days. And then on the like shorter days, like more the maintenance days, that's where like split doubles can be pretty useful. So if you got like a 14-mile medium long run, 18-mile long run, and let's say you have like 12 miles one day, like just normal mileage, that's when like the 6 and 6 would be appropriate. If you're worrying about getting hurt, like that 6 and 6 is going to be easier on your body than 8 and 4. And that kind of comes down to like the release of growth hormone that you get during exercise. That kind of reaches its not really peak, but it'll plateau after about like 40 minutes. So for someone like this who's pretty advanced, like running 5K in 14:46, 10K in 30:30, like I imagine they're probably going at an easy pace where like 6 miles is going to be around 45 minutes. So like those 6 and 6 days can be pretty useful. I did a bunch of those myself last summer just because of like schedule and like dealing with heat. People do them for all sorts of different reasons, but it can still work. And then when you're adding volume to those kinds of days, like if you add like 2 miles per day over 6 days a week, that's an extra 12 miles. That'll get you from 60 to 72, 65 to 77. So that's kind of the increase that he's looking for. But if you just add 2 miles per day, with split doubles, each run is only 1 mile longer. Like that's fairly insignificant. The farthest I would push that would be to where each run is an hour long in a split double. Like the most you would go would be 60, like 60 minutes in the morning, 60 minutes in the afternoon. So once you start getting into that like 90-minute range, that's when like fatigue starts to build up. So like, I guess to answer the main question for someone like this who's trying to increase volume but with an injury history, yes, split doubles can be effective. The benefits between split doubles and like long singles are probably closer than you'd think. In like a base period, I might give this slight like edge to long singles, but if you can't handle those, like these doubles can be a good way to do it. But especially once you get into like racing or like working out in competitions, like split doubles are like very effective. Like that's a very good way to go, because at that point you're just maintaining, you're just trying to make sure you're good to go for the next workout or race. And in terms of like other considerations, like one thing that I haven't been able to get from this post to the comments is like how fast he's going. Like regardless of doubles or singles or anything, like if you're running too fast, that could be just your main problem and the thing you need to fix. Like I don't know how that's going, but in this like summer, fall, like base training, build up type of stuff, like leaning on the easier side of things is usually better. I mean, you could have some structured time to run fast, like tempos, sub thresholds, or like long run workouts once you get fit and adapted to that. But people do take themselves out and get hurt just by getting a big ego and wanting to run too fast. So like that could be something that's going on here too. So you just got to be mindful of your effort, especially depending on your environment. In the summer, like some places can be really hot and muggy and nasty. You're going to want to be slowing down if you're in an environment like that, like I am here in Phoenix. But like the other things he talked about, like strength training routine, that's good. And taking one day off a week, that can be pretty effective, just having that day to decompress. I've done well both during times when I was running every single day. I didn't miss a day for like 2.5 years, and I've run well off of 6 days a week. A lot of the guys I know, even like guys who are pretty fast, who will take Sunday completely off or take Sunday off like every other week, and even when they do run, it's only 3 or 4 miles. So yeah, I do think that's a good idea. But we'll read some comments now. So you got one. A lot of the get more durable stimuli start to max out at a relatively low duration of running, so running a lot of doubles in general can help with that durability. I think that's what we were talking about before, where like that growth hormone release starts to plateau around 40 minutes. Do 2 of those in a day, max that out. More doubles and shorter runs help reduce the amount of time you're running under significant fatigue and potentially sloppy mechanics that pose an injury risk. That's a good point. A good order of operations you could try this summer is the following. Start with around 40 miles a week on 6 days of singles. Over the next few weeks, add cross-training doubles until you're doing this 5 times a week. Over 3 or 4 weeks, gradually replace cross-training doubles with run doubles, still keeping the total mileage in that 55, 65, or whatever as well under your injury threshold. Once you've established comfort with that frequency of running, start extending the runs over 3 or 4 weeks. By the end of the summer, I bet you can be running 80 plus miles a week without issue. Doubling 5 times a week might be a little bit much. In a 6 run week, that means you're running on your medium long run day. I don't think you need to go that far. A lot of the good guys that I know are doing like up to 4 times a week, but I think 5 times a week just a little too much. Other considerations: keep frequent strides in the mix. Use a plyo progression. 2 to 3 strength sessions per week is a good idea, but keep them highly focused and pretty short. A couple heavy compound movements and a couple secondary movements specific to your deficiencies is all you need. Sounds like you're on a college team, so decent odds you're hitting workouts too hard. More mileage will make you more robust, but you still may need to rethink other aspects of your approach once you get back into the cross-country season. If your easy pace is often within 10 to 20 seconds of the top of your current fitness VDOT easy range, it's probably a good idea to slow down most days. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Run more varied terrain. Keep long runs no more than 20% of weekly mileage. The percent rules, I don't think need to be very hard and fast, but in general, a lot of good advice on this comment. It seems like this guy knows what he's doing. He's run 5K under 14 minutes before. And let's look at one more. I'd view a single as more beneficial from a duration of rest perspective. You should be getting 23 hours of continuous rest from singles, whereas doubles will reduce that window significantly. 12 miles shouldn't be a big ask for someone running 80 miles per week, so why worry about splitting the runs? And then the original poster replied, consistent 12-mile singles include fatigue over time, even for a highly trained runner. Consistent 12-mile singles induce fatigue over time, even for a highly trained runner. I've seen professionals like Joe Klecker and Hobbs Kessler have success with equal doubles. It's simply easier for your body to recover, in theory, from 2 6-mile runs than 1 12-mile run because of glycogen depletion, higher fatigue in the latter half of a longer run. So I figured for someone injury prone like myself, it might be a more sustainable way to hit higher mileage, but I'm not 100% sure, which is why I'm asking. I do think split doubles, at least on those like non-workout or longer run days, are like an effective solution. Like they are going to be easier on your body for maybe like a slight hit in like general aerobic adaptation. But if you're able to run like 80 miles per week, total volume, like continuously, that's going to be better for you, I think, in the long run than being stuck at like 55, 65, even with those longer single runs. At the end of the day, it's just about like what you can handle. This person with their injury history seems like are not able to handle longer singles. Some people can, and that's great, but I'd say most people probably can't, especially at volumes that are like 50, 60 plus, like this person wants to be at. And if they get their injuries sorted out and they were able to get up to like 80 miles per week and then wanted to try lengthening the singles again, maybe that could work. But for now, just trying to build up to that, yes. Like I said earlier, I think if you can sustainably run 80 miles per week, even if that's with split doubles, that is superior to only being able to run 55 to 65, even if they have those longer single runs. So yeah, that's another Reddit question. Hope I did a good job answering it for this person.